Welcome back to this course on weather prediction through astrology. In the last session, we introduced the subject of astrometeorology and discussed about the subjects dealt in Brihat Samhita. The Brihat Samhita, as you know, is one of the major classical texts written by Acharya Varahamihira, which deals with weather forecasting, atmospheric observations, and so many other subjects which are called the Samhita subjects. Today we will see the rules, planetary combinations, atmospheric observations, and conclusions to be drawn from atmospheric observations for forecasting rains in the long time and short time span. But before we proceed further, we should understand one important thing that the seasons in India are different from what we normally understand as the four seasons in the European American concept. We have studied in the schools that there are four seasons in a year: spring, summer, autumn, and winter. The Western and European scientists divided the year into four seasons, considering the time duration from an equinox to a solstice as one season. Just to remind you, the equinox is the day or the date on which day and night are equal, and the solstice is the longest day in summer, called the summer solstice, and the shortest day in winter, which is called the winter solstice. So there are 3 months from one equinox to the next solstice, where temperature changes takes place along the globe due to the declination of the sun, traveling from the equator to 23 degrees north or 23 degrees south. Therefore, it has come as a practice for everyone to believe that there are four seasons on Earth, which is not true in the Indian context. In such a four season classification, you can see that there is no season called rainy season or monsoon. But if you look at the Indian subcontinent, the monsoon is the most defining characteristic of our climate. Indian monsoon is one of the most prominent monsoon systems in the world. It is very distinct and very powerful compared to other rainy seasons of around the world. It has larger variations also, it has got larger duration also compared to any other rainy season. Because of the presence of the large hot ocean on the south and the cold Himalayas on the north, the wind movement, that pressure and temperature changes it causes across the land is profound. And the entire climatic system of India is considerably different from what is there in other parts of the world. Therefore, taking this pivotal characteristic of the monsoon. The ancient Hindus divided our seasons into 6 seasons. Here you can see the monsoon map of India. The monsoon arrives from the southwest region from June up till about August in the northern areas. And the northeast winds reflected and rebound back from the Himalayas, move backwards, and there is the blue line there, which is actually a convergence area of the two winds. So from June to August, there is an upward going monsoon. And then from then on till back up to November or so, there is a downward moving, in the sense from north to south moving monsoon. This is the characteristic of the Indian monsoon. There is a very famous work by Mahakavi Kalidasa titled as Ritu Samhara, in which a very lucid description of the seasons, their characteristic flowers, trees, the characteristic of lakes and sky during the season, the people's moods in the season. So we will just quickly look at the names given for each of these season and their characteristic described in Ritu Samhara. The Ritu Grishma is hot and harsh season. You can see the painting here, like the servant women are fanning Krishna and Radha there, and they are putting some sandal paste, etc., to keep the body cool. Summer can be used as a word, as a translation for Grishma, but however it doesn't correspond with the summer of the Western system. The period Varsha brings rains, lushness, greenness all over the place. All the lakes and rivers are full. This can be called as monsoon. The following season is called Sharat. There are receding rains, cool air, clear skies and cloudy skies mixed together. It's a beautiful season, a festival season in India generally, where Navaratri and Diwali are celebrated. This can be translated as autumn in English, but it is not equivalent to the autumn of the Western world. The next two seasons are cold periods, which is called Hemanta and Shishira. The Hemanta is the early winter, where mist and some amount of rain is encountered. And then very cold and frosty period of winter follows it, which is Shishira. These two extend from about November to February. After winter, the temperature picks up and the Vasanta period of largely blossoming flowers and rejuvenating the earth starts before the summer heat is encountered. The Indian Meteorological Department or IMD, which is the nodal agency for weather reporting in India, has classified the four seasons of India as winter, summer or pre-monsoon, monsoon, and autumn or post-monsoon. This was done to align ourselves with the thinking in the Western world of four seasons rather than six seasons, which is used in traditional Indian society. You may also note that the Government of India, in its calendar reforms committee, adopted the tropical year in contradiction to the sidereal year, which is the traditional India. So, since we have six seasons in the year, one season constitutes of 2 months. And as per our Hindu calendar, the division of these ritus are from Nirayana Meena or Sayana Meena to the next Nirayana Kumbha or Sayana Kumbha. Nirayana Sayana means the one considering the precession of equinoxes or not considering the precession of equinoxes. In the Nirayana system, we reset our first degree of Aries, sun's entry, to the original. That means without the ayanamsha. So subtracting the ayanamsha. In the Sayana system, the actual movement of the sun entry into the signs are considered. So in the case of Narayana Sauramasas, the Meena Mesha becomes Vasanta, the Rishabha Mithana becomes Grishma, Karkasumha becomes Varsha, Kanya Tula becomes Sharat, Vrichchiga Dhanu becomes Hemanta, and Makara Kumbha becomes Shishir. Same way, in the case of the Dhrikya Siddhanta, where Sayana consideration is done, Sayana Meena Mesha will become constitute the Vasanta Ritu and so on. The table is there for you to see. For those who are not very familiar with the month nomenclature of the Hindu calendar, I have given you the list here. The Chaitra month is between April and May. The Vaishakha month is May, June. Jyeshtha month is June, July. Ashada month is July, August, and so on. In the case of the Saura month, solar months, when Sayana consideration is there, because the Ayanamsha is to be subtracted, the Chaitra will become from third week of March to third week of April instead of April mid to May mid, because we have already crossed around 24 degrees in in the precession. So this table here gives you each of those corresponding English months or the Gregorian months and the Hindu calendar year and the Tamil names of those Sanskrit names. Now we come to the long range rainfall forecasting. The rainy season or Varsha Ritu starts from the late Grishma and goes up to the mid of Sharat, if you look at it from the date. But the Varsha proper, the monsoon proper is in the Savana Bhadrapada months or in the Kadakasumha months of the Saurava calendar. The rain clouds which form in the Kartika Margashirsha months, that is in November, December, are considered to be the rains which come 7 months later. So, in the system adopted by Varahamihira and earlier scholars, the formation of clouds in the month of Margashirsha is considered to be the pregnancy of the clouds or called Garbhadhana of the clouds. In our Panjangas, there will be marked some dates. I will talk about it later in the Panchanga session. The Purvashada star and the moon passing through it in the Shukla Paksha of the Margashirsha month is when the clouds start forming, is what the scholars have found out by their careful observation and their tapas. What happens is these clouds, which are originating at that time, will slowly gather more and more water over the summer months and then rain after 195 days. This is around 7 months plus 8. So because 27, in approximately 28 days is the moon's sidereal period. Moon comes back to the same constellation 28 days after it passes through the same constellation prior. So the moon, when it passes through the same constellation again after 7 months, will cause rain from those clouds which are formed before 195 days. From Purvashada onwards, there will be many cloud formation days, which you will see in the next few slides. So in the last slide, we have seen that the cloud pregnancy or the formation of the seeds of the clouds are being observed in the season of Hemanta and Shishira for the next 7 months forecast. Subsequently, the coming months, the following months, also up to Magha and Falguna are to be observed as per the Acharyas, so that we can look at the amount of rains coming up to the month of Ashwin Kartika. That means the late Sharad. Here you see the Indian system having followed the monsoon very closely. We start looking at the possibility of rains right from the previous winter. In our current thinking, whatever I have seen in the IMD websites, predominantly the studies are done from clouds starting from March. One of the papers say that the February is the reversal of the winds, and then most of the other literature in IMD shows that March, April is the time when cloud formation is being studied, the satellite images are being generated. But in the ancient system, It looks like they have been looking at clouds right from December onwards for a possibility of rain in June, July, or in the month of Jeshta, Ashada, Shravana. The rainfall going to occur in those months will be predicted from the cloud formation in the month of Margashirsha and Pausha. Now, the identification of a good pregnancy or the good formation of fetus of the cloud during the month of Margashirsha, starting from the Purvashada of the Shuklavaksha of Margashirsha. So the Acharya says observation of the sky, saying that a good breeze from the north, northeast. Sun and moon will be having a halo. Sky is covered with needle-like clouds, red color clouds. In Margashirsha and Pausha, red glow in sunset and sunrise. Clouds should have some sort of halo during sunset time. Planets should move in the north of their asterisms. These are all positive symptoms of good cloud formation, which will definitely rain after 195 days. Now we can look at the amount of rain that a cloud will deliver and the continuous rain which will happen from those clouds. Looking at the good formation of clouds in the month of Margashirsha, Pausha, etc. Now the clouds that form in Purvashada, Uttarashada, Purvabhadra and Uttarabhadra and Rohini. So you have to observe for about 17 to 18 days starting from Purvashada. So the clouds getting formed in these 6 days will provide abundant rains. You can look at it that these stars which have been chosen, Purvashada is the star which is presided over by the deity Apa or water. Similarly, Rohini is Prajapati's star, and Aryaman, Bhaga and Vishwadevas are the stars of deities of the other stars, which means they are all rain granting, blessing type of deities. When pregnancy takes place in Shatabisha, Asla, Aslesha, Ardra, Swati, or Magha, you have to observe it for longer days that they are not getting destroyed. Then they will give good rains. And the duration of the rain which comes out of these clouds are given as Margashirsha clouds will rain for 8 days, the Posha clouds for 6 days, Magha clouds will fall for 16 days. Magha is somewhere around February, so the February clouds will fall for 16 days. The Falguna clouds will rain 20 days, and the Chaitra clouds will fall 20 days. That means March, April clouds will rain around 20 days, which means probably that today's what we use in IMD mostly are seeing only those clouds which will rain around 20 days time. Whereas our acharyas are looking at clouds which will give rains prior itself, before the peak monsoon itself. In the last few slides, we have been discussing the pregnancy of clouds, the process of fetus formation of the rain-bearing clouds, and using the same for long-term forecasting of the seasonal rain in the coming months of Jyeshtha, Ashadha, Shravana and Bhadrapada. If now on the formation day of the fetus, that means on the Garbhadana day of the clouds, if there are malefic planets or sun and moon associated, means it happens to be a Amavasya or malefic planet affliction is there in the star at which the conception takes place, then the rain will be just converted to hail and thunder, and very little rain, but more of thunderous hails will result. At the same time, if they are associated with benefics, then the rain will be abundant. At the time of conception, there should not be much rain. That means on cloud formation days in Margashirasha, Pausha and Magha, if rain falls more than 1/8 drona measure, 1 drona is something like 10 liters, 10 to 13 liters. This is an old measure used in India. There is Adaga, which is 1/4 of the drona. And in the case of ancient Indian rain gauging system, a cylindrical vessel with 1 cubit means 1 arm length diameter, is to be placed in a free space. And the water collected there has to be measured with the standard measures used in those times, like Adaga and Drona. Drona is like a bucket. Here what happens is, during the time of conception, the astrologer shall measure the rainfall, if there is a rainfall. And if it is more than 1/8 Drona measure, that means half Adaga measure, then these clouds will tend to abort and they will not yield rain during the season. Good consumption is indicated by a breeze, nice wind, cloud appearing, small lightning and thunder, and minor precipitation. Heavy rainfall shall not occur. If the clouds form well, but there is no precipitation after the cloud formation for a long time, the Acharya here says that they will solidify to become hail and snow, which means during the Margashira Posha months, when the cloud forms, there should be minor amount of precipitation. If it doesn't happen, snow will fall or hail will fall, and the cloud will be lost, and it will not yield rain in the rainy season. When a good cloud formation or conception has occurred, the rain will cover an area of around 100 yojanas. The next observation that the astrologer has to do for forecasting the correct rainfall during the rainy months of Ashada, Shravana, Bhadrapada and up to Ashwin. He should check the clouds and the direction of the wind on Jyeshta Shukla Ashtami for 4 days. There should not be strong winds which will carry away the clouds or break the clouds. There should be gentle clouds and there shall be fine clouds in the upper atmosphere. And watching the Jyeshta Shukla Vaksha, if there are some rainfall happening on Swati, Vishaka, Anuradha, Jyeshta, 4 days, then the next 4 months there will be very good rains. If the sun and moon are covered with this wet, dusty air, like it creates a sort of a cover on the sun and the moon, then you can predict good rains. On the day of Shuklashtami or on the days of Swati, Vishaka, Anuradha, Jyeshta, if lightning happens also, good rains will happen in the season. Now clouds having color of pearl, like with a silvery blue shine, silver color, tamala flower, and shape like large animals, like aquatic animals like whale, etc. Whale. Dark color like blue lily. All this will possess water and they will provide abundant rain on the 195th day. The cloud formed on the pregnancy day, even if they are well conceived, if there is dust storm, Gandharva Nagara like formations, like the city like formations, the clouds become like city skyscrapers like of shapes. And there are Tamasaki in the sun, the sunspots. We'll talk about it later in another session. And if the eclipse happens also, then the clouds or the fetus will be aborted. So the rainfall will be less in the coming season. Here the Acharya gives the observation of the sun during the rainy season. During the rainy season, if the sun is exhibiting a purplish or yellowish blue like this acacia or albacea family, it will give good rains. However, if the sun exhibits a color like the peacock's feather, there will be continued drought in the country. Now we saw that the conditions of a rainfall in the season has to be predicted by looking at the conditions in Jyeshta, that is just prior to the rainy season. Now here the Acharya says that the astrologer shall measure rain falling in Jyeshta on various days. And if there are rains on days in Jyeshta enough to leave a mark on the ground, not very heavy, then from Ashada onwards, good rains will result. If there are no rains in Jyeshta, then there will be no rains in the rainy season. The days in Jeshta, where the moon passes through various asterisms, and the quantity of rainfall that will result in the coming months is shown in this table. Like if you see Punarvasu, Vishaka, Uttarada, those stars, when the moon is passing over them and rainfall happens in Jeshta, then there will be very good rains. Similar is the case with Purva Phalguni and Uttarabhadra, Uttara Phalguni and Rohini Nakshatras. If the rain happens in Jeshta and Swati, the rainfall is less, but however there will be rainfall. And so on if you look at this table. So the basic idea is that there should be a very good consumption during the Margashira, Posha, Magha months. Then there will be light rains in Jeshta to assure that rains are there in the rainy season. But affliction of the moon with Mars, Saturn, Ketu, when this rainfall occurs, as we saw in the previous slide, it will affect the rainfall in the season. Further task of the astrologer for weather forecasting in the rainy season is the study of weather when moon enters Rohini in the month of Ashada, in the dark fortnight of Ashada. He shall very piously worship Vayu Varna Soma. Then he shall erect a flag. He shall actually erect the flag in the northeastern side of the village where he lives. Below the flag, he should mark all the directions properly, north, south, east, west, etc. That is, he has to create a wind rose at the bottom of the flag in a circle, erect a flag with a silk cloth, then carefully study the direction of the wind and mark the direction of the wind on that circle with each direction marked. The total duration of the Rohini transit shall divide in 8 parts. And these 8 parts he will consider as the 8 fortnights from Shravana to Kartika months. Now, he will examine the clouds moving along with the wind while doing so. Accordingly, he will predict the rainfall in the 8 fortnights of the coming fortnights of Savan to Kartik by looking at this wind and the clouds. Several slokas are here. I am not going through each of them. Then the next activity he does is he collects various seeds, wets them, sanctifying them with Mahavrata mantra, and lays them on a pot. This is done 3 days prior to the Rohini entrance by moon. And after the Rohini Yoga is over, shall look at the sprouts coming from the seeds. And according to the sprouts of how much and how effective the sprouts has taken place, he can predict the which crops will grow well in the rainy season. Now, while moon passes over Rohini, he has to very carefully observe the moon. If moon passes the south of the Rohini group, there will be miseries for the people. There will be no prosperity in the country. If moon passes from the north side, there will be good rains. But if it touches the northernmost star, there will be good rains, however, there will be miseries. Like there will be some heavy rains, which is rain causes miseries for people. Moon shall not pass through the center of the Rohini cluster. It will not give you rains. It will provide a drought. Moon shall not contact the Yogatara. The Yogatara is Rohini itself. It's called actually Aldebaran in our modern terminology. Rohini should not be covered by thick clouds during the Rohini Yoga. It should be clear. The sky should be clear. The passage of moon over Swati nakshatra is also considered as equal to Rohini. Similar rules like Rohini applies here also. Swati is the star called Arcturus in the constellation of Boots in modern astronomy. In our Hindu astronomy, it's a star in the Libra constellation of Tula Rashi. Now, if there are rainfall happening during the moon's passage in Swati, we have to consider the passage of Swati in three parts. If the rainfall is happening in the first part in the night, then all crops will flourish. If the first part happens to be in the day and there are rains there, the rains will happen in winter, not in Swati, in Sravana. Similarly, the second part, if it rains in the night, then kidney bean, sesame, and black colored uh, grains and grams will flourish. In the third part, if it rains and it happens to be in the night, night is between sunset to sunrise, and the day is between sunrise to sunset. Grishma crops will flourish. However, Sarat crops will not flourish. Same way you can see in the second part of the day if it rains. Then there will be winter rain. That means Kartik, Magrashisha rain will be there, but worms will infest the field. The Acharya here makes another remark. If the moon contacts Abhamvatsa, Abhamvatsa is actually a star around 5 degrees north of Spica. Spica is the star called Chitra in our Hindu terminology. Spica is the star lying between Virgo and Tula, Virgo and Libra. 5 degrees north of it, there is a very faint star called Apamatsa. If moon contacts Apamatsa, there will be happiness to people and there will be good amount of rains and a good amount of crops. Now we give one or two more additional rules on Swati Yoga. On Magha Krishna Saptami, Magha Krishna Saptami is generally near to Swati only. If there is snowfall on that day, or there is thunder and lightning on that day, the Grishma and Sharat crops will thrive. And Swati Yoga, although they have the similar rules like Rohini Yoga of Ashada, Swati Yoga has to be considered in Falguna, Chaitra, Vaishakha also, applying similar rules. Now for crop forecasting, the moon's passage over Uttarashadha in the month of Ashada has to be considered. The Jyotishi shall collect various seeds, weigh them accurately, keep them aside, and weigh them again the next day after the moon's transit over Uttarashadha. While doing the weighment, you will recite the Saraswati mantras, which are given in the book. Whichever seeds have increased in their weight shall flourish. A very precision balance is to be made with gold beam and silk cloths. It is something like our laboratory balance. Very accurate precision weighment has to be done of the seeds. Similarly, here they say the well water, lake water, and rain water are also to be weighed. Heavier well water will indicate that there will be no rain in winter. Heavier lake water will indicate abundant rains. Now, Rohini, Swati, and Ashada, these three yogas, various data have been collected like in this fashion, and they have to be correlated with each other. If they are all in agreement, then one result can be forecast. If they are not, all of them are not in equal agreement, then the Rohini Yoga has to be given more weight, and accordingly prediction has to be made. Now we are going to look at a concept called Sasya Jataka, or the crops chart. This is cast on the day when Sun enters Vrishchika Rashi. When Sun enters Vrishchika Rashi, if benefic planets are in the Kendras, that is 4th, 7th, and 10th, and also in the Vrishchika Rashi itself, then both crops, Grishma and Sharat crops, will thrive. While Sun is entering Vrishchika Rashi, if Jupiter is in Kumbha Rashi and Moon is in Simha Rashi, or the other way around, if Moon is in Kumbha Rashi and Jupiter is in Simha Rashi, they are aspecting each other. Then all the Grishma crops will thrive. Grishma crops will also thrive if Mercury and Venus are together in Dhanus or Tula. And if Jupiter aspects this combination, there will be abundance. Here we give some more planetary combination rules for the destruction of crops. When Sun enters Vrishchika, if Vrishchika Rashi is flanked by malefic planets, that is, malefic planets are on both sides of the Rashi, and the 7th house is also having a malefic planet, then blight disease will come in the crops. If malefics occupy Dhanus, that is the 2nd Rashi, then the first crop after sowing will get destroyed, but the 2nd crop will flourish. If the 7th house happens to have 2 malefics, then there will be sparse growth crops. A similar rule is to be applied when Sun enters Rishabha Rashi for correlating the results with for Sharat crops. So with all the rainfall prediction and crop prediction which we have done, the similar rules applying when Sun enters Rishabha Rashi will determine the exact nature of Sharat crops. Sharat crops will also flourish if during the winter months, that means when Sun is transiting Dhanu, Makara, Kumbha, at that time, if benefic planets are associated with the Sun, then also Sharat crops will thrive. So far, we have been seeing the long range forecasting of rainfall. That means predicting the rainfall during the rainy season of the 4 months from the cloud formation from the earlier days and the planetary combinations which happen during the cloud formation or during the rainfall period. Now we see the immediate rain indications. There are certain indications which are associated with animals and plant life. Some of them associated with atmospheric observation, and some of them associated with planetary combinations. If the midday sun is exceedingly hot in the rainy season, there will be rain after sunset. If the rainy season, there is no cloud seen, it is clear. However, the salt turns into water, means if you keep salt on the outside, it absorbs water from the humidity from the atmosphere and melts. Then also there will be rain after sunset, although you don't see a cloud in the sky. When frogs croak in the rainy season, there will be rain after sunset. Cats, when they scratch the ground without any purpose. Ants, when they move eggs without any being disturbed by anybody else. Or serpents are climbing trees. These are indications of rain. When lizards are looking at the sky from the top branch of a tree is also an indication of immediate rain. If there is lightning in the north sky, there will be rain. And a parhelion or a mock sun, that means there are a twin sun appearing during sunset or sunrise, and there is a ring around the sun. These are indications of immediate rain. So now we continue with the short range forecast of rain. When Venus is in 7th house from the moon and the appropriate season is there for rain, there will be rain. When Venus is coming in the 5th, 7th or 9th from Saturn, there will be rain. Any planet heliacally setting or rising. Heliacal setting or rising means, I hope all of you know what it is. A planet rising together with the sun or immediately before or after the sun is called heliacal rising. Similarly, a planet setting with the sun or immediately after the sun sets is called heliacal setting. So whenever a planet heliacally rises or sets, there will be some rain associated with it. Whenever sun enters Ardra, sun will enter Ardra somewhere around the 21st of June, approximately. So whenever sun enters Ardra, there will be some rain. When Mercury Venus, Venus Jupiter or Mercury Jupiter, any of one of this combination, that is Venus combining with Mercury or with Jupiter, or Mercury and Jupiter combining in the same Rashi, there will be rain. Saturn and Mars together can cause storms or cyclones. When all the planets go near the sun, and they are all very close to the sun on one side of it, then there will be very heavy rains like pralaya rains, very heavy rains, torrential rains. So far we talked about long range and short range rainfall prediction. Some conditions of no rainfall occurring for certain time and drought happening is also listed by the Acharya. Jupiter and Mars getting conjunct with Sun, the end of Rishabha, Simha, Vrishchiga or Mithuna. So here this will happen once in 18, 20 years, something like this. Because Jupiter comes to Rishabha and getting conjunct with Mars also happens very occasionally only. Mars or Saturn getting retrograde in Karka, Simha and Meena Rashis. These are conditions of drought and scarcity of water, famine, etc. Saturn Rahu conjunction also will create drought as per the Brihat Samhita. I have done some independent studies on the rainfall pattern of southern India peninsula, where I have found that Jupiter Rahu opposition also creates very low rainfall conditions in the region. We will talk about it when we discuss something about the actual uh, studies which I carried out on various weather patterns. So we will wind up this lesson with this and continue with lesson 2, where we will discuss Garga Samhita, Narada Samhita and other books on rainfall prediction. Thank you and see you in the next session.